Hello everyone and welcome back to the good stuff. We are continuing the Morphy saga with a brilliant blindfold exhibition game between Paul Charles Morphy and Sir George William Lyttelton, and it's very interesting how it came for this game to even be played, because Morphy actually wanted to play a whole series of different opponents, but to understand how that happened, we first have to talk about what happened when Morphy finally confronted Staunton publicly about their match and when will it be scheduled. So it was a bit of a race against time because Morphy wanted to address Staunton before Staunton addresses Morphy regarding the matter. And Morphy wanted to ask Staunton when will their match be played, but Staunton interrupted Morphy and he said that he's out of form, he doesn't know when he will be able to play, that he has a lot of obligations regarding his publishers, that he really has no idea when he will be able to face Morphy. And then Morphy asked, okay, I understand now that you are a very busy man, obviously, and when will we play? Will we play September, October, November, December? Like, you know, pick a date. And as you can see in the quote above the board, Staunton replied to this. He said, well, Mr. Morphy, if you will consent to the postponement, I will play you at the beginning of November. And Morphy said, okay, I'm down with that, and he was very happy with the outcome of this confrontation. And, well, we're going to discuss what happens afterwards, but now Morphy decided to challenge all of the participants of the Birmingham chess tournament to a simultaneous exhibition. Morphy wanted to play all of them at once. He said, okay, not all of them have to play, but I would like the strongest ones to play, like Staunton, like Lowenthal, like Folkbear. He really wanted to face the best opposition in a blindfold simultaneous exhibition where he would play 8 opponents. But to his surprise, everyone, who was anyone in those days in the chess world in Europe, declined the challenge. And Morphy was really, he was talking to Folkbear. He was like, come on, Folkbear, can we play a game? And Folkbear was like, no, I'm just gonna watch, whoever accepts the play. And it was very hard for them to find 8 opponents for Morphy, and in the end they found 8 of them. We already saw a game against Kipping in the previous video I made, and now he faces Sir George William Lyttelton, who is a fine chess player himself, like we said, the president of the British Chess Association, and this is the game that came to be. So we're gonna cover some of the nicer ones from the blindfold simultaneous exhibition, and we're gonna see how it ended. As you know, the previous one that we've shown, Morphy versus Kipping, Morphy actually lost that simultaneous blind exhibition game. So without further ado, let's check it out and see where this takes us in the Morphy saga. Morphy with the white pieces opens with e4. As he usually does. We have e5 by Lyttelton, and now f4. Morphy goes for the king's gambit. We have e captures, and now knight to f3. And now g5. Up to date, considered the best reply for black in this situation. And Morphy challenges the pawn with h4. We have g4 challenging the knight, and now knight to e5. And now the g4 pawn is being attacked, but there's no good way to actually defend it. So here Lyttelton just plays d6, which is still considered to be the best reply. If you try and defend the pawn, for example, with something like h5, you just allow white too much of an attack. For example, bishop to c4 would go after the f7 pawn, then you have to defend it either with knight to h6 or rook to h7. Let's say knight to h6, then white will go d4, and once you finally push back that knight to d3, white will still win back his pawn, as now both pieces are attacking it. There's no good way to defend it. You could further complicate matters with something like f3, but after captures, there's just no good move for black here. Any captures only helps white to develop. You could go knight c6, but even if it is playable, maybe with today's understanding of how chess is played, in those days where the art of defense was literally non-existent, maybe, aside from players like Mr. Barnes, of course, you do not want to play this, especially not against someone like Morphy. So instead, after Morphy's knight to e5, we have d6, pushing the knight back, and now knight captures and g4. This is very standard stuff. Bishop to e7, now going after the h4 pawn, and now just d4. Morphy doesn't care about the h4 pawn. So Lyttelton grabs it with bishop captures and h4 with check, and now knight to f2, blocking check. And here A lot of moves are possible. Queen to g5 is a possibility here. The top move actually recommended by the engine is bishop to g3, just getting that bishop out of the way. Now you can play the queen on the next move. Also, the bishop here nicely defends the f4 pawn. It still pins the knight, so it makes sense to make such a move. But Lyttelton actually decided to go for bishop captures on f2 right away, and of course declined Morphy any castling privileges. So king captures, and now knight to f6, going after the e4 pawn. Morphy defends it, knight to c3, and now queen to e7 with a double attack on the e4 pawn here. And Morphy said, not a problem, just bishop captures on f4. And here you have to just continue developing pieces, as you have no pieces developed with the black pieces. All of this is undeveloped. The rook is still undeveloped. The king is still on e8, and you have to start doing something about that. Bishop to g4 might be a good start. Bishop to e6, rook g8. So those are the moves you want to look into. However, Lyttelton said, okay, that's a very juicy e4 pawn. I'm actually going to grab that. So knight captures on e4 was played, and Morphy just laughed at his face and played knight captures on e4. Not directly at his face, as this was a blindfold simultaneous exhibition, so Morphy was not in sight of any of his opponents, but he still captured on e4. And now you definitely don't capture back, because then it's just a lost game. But this is exactly what Lyttelton did. He captured on e4 because he thought, okay, I grab it, and it comes with tempo. Your bishop on f4 is under attack, so this is obviously very good for me. However, like I said, it completely blunders the game. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find the absolute best move for Morphy here while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting that the rook on h1 actually belongs on d1, and if this on e1, and if this rook was on e1, the game would be lost. The queen wouldn't be able to move, as the king is still on e8, and it's game over. However, the bishop is in the way, and that's basically a solved puzzle. You just move the bishop with tempo. Bishop to b5 check, and now rook to e1 is coming. This is of course what Morphy played, and now you cannot play c6 because of rook to e1. The game is won. So after bishop to b5 check, Lyttelton went king to f8, but it doesn't help him. Bishop to h6 check by Morphy. We have king to g8, and now even rook to h5 with the threat of rook g5 check, and that's it. The king cannot go anywhere. So black has to defend somehow. Lyttelton found the very impressive bishop to f5. Now if rook to g5 check, of course you just block with the bishop, and there's no clear continuation here for white how to win this game. Of course Morphy did not allow this. Instead he played a move that instantly wins the game. So for the last time, feel free to pause the video and win the game for Morphy while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it for the second time, congratulations, as it's not an easy move to find. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it's queen to d2. And after this queen to d2 move, there's simply no good reply for black, because there are threats of queen g5 check, and that's just going to be checkmate. Also rook to e1 is coming. There's no defense against rook to e1, and black is simply without a move here. You could try and prolong the game with something like f6, but it'll only prolong it for a few more moves. So here Lyttelton just played bishop to g6. He stopped one of the threats, but now of course Morphy just played rook to e1, and it was in this position on move 17 that George William Lyttelton resigned the game, and a wonderful victory here was achieved by Morphy. So it'd be very interesting to see how the blindfold simultaneous blindfold exhibition would go if Morphy actually faced the absolute top opposition from the Birmingham tournament, but no one was interested, because there's just nothing to gain from it. I mean, yes, you could say you've defeated Morphy, but then again, he played in a blindfold simultaneous exhibition. It's not like you defeated Morphy one-on-one over the board. So there wasn't really anything for them to gain there, and so everyone just declined Morphy's challenge, and then Morphy had to face a bit of a lesser opposition, but the games are still really awesome, so we're going to show a few of them. So after rook to e1, you resign, because once you move the queen, doesn't really matter. There's really no good square for you to move the queen. Just rook to e8 is checkmate. And other than that, you don't have a move. You don't have any checks. You have some checks, but they're not very impressive checks. So of course, Lyttelton resigned here, and a brilliant victory for Paul Charles Morphy in this blindfold simultaneous exhibition. That's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There will be plenty more from the Blindfold Simultaneous exhibition. If you guys are new to the Morphy saga, I will put a link in the description below that starts the Morphy saga from the beginning, so you can catch up to it. Not a lot of videos, maybe like 100, a little bit less, I think. But yeah, maybe if you guys are interested and you want to catch up. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Robert Trifunov, Robert Henderson, Aslan Vezirov, Yakovov Paladinos, and Mark Schmidt for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Morphy saga, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.